So how many of you feel extremely energized right now? Pardon me? Okay. So let's talk about money. Do you see how it just went like that? So my question to you is, why have you given your personal power away to money? Because that's exactly what most of you in this room have done at some point in your life. That's why we don't get paid as much as women. That's why we let other people make our financial decisions for us. And that's why it's time to take our power back, okay? And I'm gonna show you a loving and healthy way to do that in 15, 20 minutes. No pressure. And of course I'm in finance, so I've realized I'm not in much of my feminine energy because they've all got skirts on and I'm in pants. That's clearly reflective of being in the finance industry. That was a little reflective thing I noticed. And you know what's interesting? I stopped wearing skirts in my business 2 years in because every time I'd walk into somebody's office, I got one of those. So I had to dress the part to feel that people would take me seriously to be able to talk about money. And I'm realizing clearly I'm still hanging on to that. So we'll work on that one. Okay, I am one of 12 children. And I used to be really mad at my mother because I am the second oldest of those 12 children. And you can see, so you don't look at the mullet. It's really, really bad back here. But what that taught me is I grew up in the southwest side of the city, or suburbs, I should say, Midlothian. And what I learned in that childhood was that money didn't matter because we didn't have any. My husband laughs. He's like, what do you mean you never saw Star Wars? And it was because we didn't have a TV. We had to put the electricity on because in the summertime we actually had it off, and sometimes I did my homework by candlelight. So I had an experience in my childhood that was very much like going through the Great Depression, and it wasn't until the market dropped in 08 and 09 that I knew exactly that that's exactly why I had to have that childhood, because I could show people the way out. Then I was busy. I needed alphabet soup after my name because I wanted to build my self-confidence. Went to the University of Illinois, went to the University of Notre Dame for my MBA, created my own company. Then I published my own book and had a publishing company. Then I decided to have babies at 37. And yes, when the nurse came in and told me when you stop breastfeeding, you get pregnant, I really didn't listen because it happened twice after that. And the problem that we have come in this society is that we believe that life happens from the outside in. And we hear that all the time. Susie Orman is, and granted, she came into the world to teach people and wake people up, and she's done a great job of that. But it's on the outside going, you need to do this, you need to do that, and that's from the outside. I can tell you to get out of credit card debt, I can tell you to save more, but that's really not gonna change because why did you create that all in the first place? You know what? Do Zumba, sexy people are doing it, why aren't you? Keep up with the Joneses, right? The cars that we buy, the neighborhoods we live in, right? These are ways that we have given away our personal power to money. So it's about living your life from the inside out. How many of you like Oreo cookies, right? What happens when you say, you know, for you Catholics out there, you're giving them up for Lent, right? What happens when Lent's over, or you've decided after the first of the year, you're going to eat healthy, right? But what happens after a few weeks? You mog those Oreo cookies. That happens with our money. We all get the Oreo conversation, but do we realize we do that with their money? I had one woman who came into my office and her husband was sitting next to her. He goes, your job is to get her to stop buying $600 designer jeans. I was like, wow, so what's the reason that you're buying the $600 jeans? She goes, I don't care, I'm still buying them. Do you ever feel defensive about why you buy how many pairs of shoes that you buy? My husband still laughs. We have a shoe closet in my house, and I don't care. I love shoes, you know? And so don't look at my shoes. These aren't one of my best pairs that I got on today. I realized that, too, when I was sitting up there. Like Christine's. I'd like to take those home with me. But it's about the fact that we process our money in the exact same facet. We process it in terms of the fact that when we are not living the life that we want, we kick ourselves in the head afterwards and we judge and we create all this shame, blame, guilt, and judgment. And then we realize that, you know what, we're acting acting this out all over the place. But you know, we can work it out too. My first book, The Emotion Behind Money, it was because of the fact I wanted to teach people that you have to get those emotions, bring them to the surface, and process through them. Don't swipe your credit card and process that, because you're having a spending hangover after the holidays in January. How many of you guys have hated getting those bills in the mail in January? Okay, you all like them? You can't tell me you don't use credit cards in here, right? Even if you pay them off monthly. It's very scary to me because of the fact that we just surpassed the amount of debt that the consumer had before 2008 as a country. We are past those points. The 2x4 didn't hit hard enough. That's scary, you guys, ladies. Sorry, guys, that was really... I have 8 brothers. Sorry, I wrestle with them. So why does this pattern keep repeating itself? It's because we have all that shame, blame, guilt, and judgment. We have to, like, who do we blame it on? Our kids, Wall Street, our spouses, and Lehman Brothers. So what you have to do is you have to meet yourself where you're at. I'll never forget in January of 2009 when Susie Orman was on the Best Life series with Oprah, and she told this CPA who had $79,000 credit card debt on 23 different credit cards that she was not allowed to do anything in her life until she paid off that debt because of the interest that was on it. How do you think that makes a person feel? Trapped. Absolutely. Because if you continuously keep paying off the past, you're going to keep recreating the past. And when you live your life too much in the past, you live in a place of depression. When you're too much in the future, you're in a place of anxiety. But it's about, if you clean up your past, which is your debt, while living in the present moment and managing your cash flows, and then plan for the future all at the same time, you're rewarding yourself along the way, and you're also getting yourself out of the past choices that you've made. A little sobering, huh? Got a little quiet in here. So it's about present moment awareness. Oh, we went through that. Okay, we're going a little faster. So I ask each of you tonight to make a pact with yourself. And so what does a pact mean? It's about, the first and foremost, you have to picture what it is that you desire in your life. That is your compelling reason for change. And you may not be somebody that carries a lot of debt, but I guarantee most of the people in this room are not happy with where they're at in their current life. Something's got to change. That's why you're here, right? So you have to picture what you really desire. And I want you to picture it from a place of, you know, I'm in the finance business, and I can tell you financially, whenever I ask that question, somebody walks to my office, it is never about what do you picture in your financial life. That is the result of you going after your dreams and desires. You get the financial life that you want. Money is energy. And so if you're energizing your soul, if you're energizing your authentic self, then money follows. If money is not in your life, that means you are not living in alignment with your soul. And that's the work that you need to do. I want you to dream about, what does your work life look like? And everybody always says, well, I can't do that. And I think you can have anything you want. 7 years ago, I said, I'm gonna be a Hay House author. And when Reed Tracy called my office, I had to I screamed. Okay, here, and this is a funny story, because he called, I was walking a client out, he was on hold, he was holding too long because I talk a lot, clearly. And so I went back to my office, I have a 10-month-old at home, so I'm still breast pumping and everything at work. So I go in my office, I hook all up, I start reading my email, and I can't even jump up because I'm hooked to a frickin' machine pumping while doing emails and doing everything else. I mean, this is the life that we live, right? Right? I know, picture it. It's really funny. I know how to pump and drive, too. I have a pumping bra that's great for that. Hands-free. It's great. I know, just visualize it, right? Then the second step in the pact process is you have to accept your current reality. You just have to say, this is the only one I got. Say, okay, here's where it is. Accept it. And just say, now we're going to move from this point forward. So what's the reality checks that we look for? Reality number one, what's the macroeconomic environment that we're in? The global economy is awful. But does that mean your life has to be awful? Absolutely not. So it's about the fact that you have to position yourself to be lucky so that when things go awry in the macro environment, that you feel it, but you're like Jell-O, you know? Because you can move with it, but you're not breaking apart. If you've got a lot of debt, you're breaking apart. If you've planned too much of the future and you're not living in the present moment today, you're breaking apart. What's your demographic? You know, are you a baby boomer? Are you a Generation X? Generation Y? Meaning that you don't think you have to work linearly in life, which I think is one of the beauties that this generation brings to our society. Right? Reality number 3, what's your life stage? Are you having babies? Are you being a grandparent? Are you graduating? Do you want to graduate? Or are you saving for your kids' college? Are you climbing that corporate ladder? Or are you hidden retirement lane? And it doesn't have to be what other people told you that it needed to be. There are reasons why our Social Security system, our pension funds are all falling apart because they're old-fashioned masculine systems that don't support where we're meant to go in this time period. We're meant to be fluid and move and be able to create abundance for all of us. And you can have it very, very easily. But what is your definition of abundance? What's your definition of wealth? That doesn't necessarily mean it's $3 million in your pocket. That's nice, but you know what? That's not wealth. I know of a woman who just retired. She has a couple $100,000. She has no debts, but she only lives on like $1,600 a month. No problem. Her life is abundant. She has lots of time. She retired at 58 years old. She has grandkids she spends time with. I mean, that's abundance. You getting married? Have you been waiting to get divorced and you just haven't? All right, do you have to take care of your parents for long-term care issues? This is going to be a big one. And what responsibility do you have? One of the biggest questions I ask people, do you want, and please don't take offense to this, do you want to be responsible for the financial choices that your parents chose to do or not do? Because that is a choice where you will be overdoing or overcommitting. And it's okay if you make the choice that that's the role you want to play, but know that it's your choice. What's your economic choice point? Are you poor? Are you a debtor? Are you a dreamer? Are you an accumulator? Rich but empty? Or are you abundant? Most of us fall into one of these economic choice points. You've chose to be exactly where you are. And you can choose a different one if you like a different box. What's your economic awareness? Do you operate in financial scarcity or what they call the hybrid model or abundance? One of the most interesting things to me is that I didn't realize in 2004 when I had switched my business clearing firm, I opened up my own company, I decided to let my freak flag fly and I opened up a financial business in the West Loop in a loft space, and I swore I was never wearing a suit ever again because that's all my industry does. And I wanted to let my freak flag fly. And what I didn't realize at that time was because I was going from serving people from a place of scarcity, just trying to get them to save $50, to moving to the hybrid model. That people who thought of things in more of an abundant way than people who were financially scarce, or even just scarce in life. Back in July of 2012, I had said, you know what? I started saying that I love Wayne Dyer's book, The I Am Statement. So being a mom of 3, a business owner, 11 siblings, there's 25 grandkids, like we're eating birthday cake constantly. And the challenge is the fact that when do I have the time to meditate, right? And so today, I do as best as I can, but when I put my head down to the pillow at night, I use his I am statements from his book, Wishes Fulfilled, because I am this, I am that. So I decided I'm too tired to figure out what I am, so I am releasing all that no longer serves my highest and best interest. Well, then shit started flying. Within 5 weeks of saying that, 5 out of 8 of my employees quit my company. I was like, oh, and one of them had been there 7.5 years, and I was about to make him partner in the company. I was like, well, let's add a second I am statement to that, and that was, I am attracting all that serves my highest and best interest. Within 4 weeks of that, I had people say, hey, I got somebody who's looking for a job. This is what their skill set is. That's the feminine power. Attract it to yourself. You know, what's interesting to me in my business is that there's all that PR push marketing out there, right? You get it on the buses, on the trains, it's all that push in front of your face, right? I had made a decision that I wasn't going to do that any longer, that I was going to continue to just sprinkle my message out there, and whoever's supposed to find me was supposed to find me. When anyone asks my marketing plan, that's what it is. And we get over 150 referrals a year in our company. And I'm now trying to train people to do what I do because it just keeps coming in, and it's easy, and I don't have a big marketing budget. So clearly, those employees that left were not ready for the abundance model, because that's the shift. You are energy. You have to realize Einstein proved that we're energy. So when you go to this networking event, if you walked up to somebody and you get that, "Hi, how are you, Karna?" And you go, "Oh God, like what is that energy?" Walk away. No offense, but just walk away. Trust that. Just trust that you know what that is. Your money is energy as well. So what are your financial intentions? How do you want to energize your life? People say to me, Joy came up to me, she saw me speak 5 years ago, and she said, "Oh my gosh, your boat fund was great." And I said, "My boat fund?" And it's because there are these phenomenal savings accounts. Anyone got a Capital One 360 account that used to be the ING direct accounts? I love them because you can name your financial intention. My boat fund was first called the boat fund. Then I realized that I wanted a sailboat, so it was a sailboat fund. When I started it, I was only putting in $10 a month because that's all I could afford. And then every time I got a pay raise, I put more into it. To where when then I figured out I wanted a 34-foot Beneteau sailboat. And so I changed the name, right? And by the time I actually bought the boat, I was putting in like $1,600 a month, because every time I got a pay raise, I allocated more of that monthly money. And so your money is energy, so energize what you want. Everyone always tells me they want to go on vacation, but they don't have the money to go. I'm like, "Where's your savings account that's set up for vacation?" "I don't have one." "Well, of course you don't go on vacation then." Shocking, okay? So your money's energy, it flows. It comes from the word currency, which comes from current. They flow. How do you want to flow? That's present moment awareness. I'm not telling you you have to go on a budget. What do you feel like when I tell you you have to go on a budget? You can't have what you want. And I'm sorry, every American wants what they want, when they want it, and how they want it. They're like teenagers, right? We're like teenagers. You tell me I can't have anything, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go get it. So guess what? Stop acting out. So we're gonna work this out, right? So take the word budget out of your vocabulary and empower yourself and call it, how do I want my cash to flow? Right? Empower yourself to write those numbers down and say, you know what? Yes, I want it all, right, Christine? We want it all, right? But say, you know what? I actually sold my boat. Because you know what? You know what I really wanted? I really wanted to spend the time at the beach with my 3 little kids. A sailboat is not a place for 3 kids under the age of 4. I was afraid they were gonna wind up in the bottom of the lake. You know, but that helped my cash flow, right? Now I rent a boat when I wanna go, just with my husband. We leave the kids at home. Yeah. And how do you feel about your money? Look at those feelings. Does it, is your credit score good, or is it sucking the life out of you, It's giving you life, or is it really sucking your blood? Is it proactive or reactive? Is the debt really a heavy load, or is it abundant? And or are you hoarding it, right? There can be both sides of that equation. So your past feels like a lead balloon. You want to live in the present moment because really, happiness is really all you have in the present moment. Tomorrow's not guaranteed to any of us. And the future's so bright, you gotta wear shades. So after you dream, accept your reality, you have to go back to your authentic self. And I would stress to each and every one of you that it's about what used to make you giggle when you were a little girl. Whatever makes you giggle, that's what you're meant to do next. If it doesn't make you giggle, don't do it, okay? And it's hard to peel that onion to go, how do I even know who I am at this stage in my life? Just choose it. It's your choice. That's the giggle picture. And then you make the choice to change. And what's your compelling reason for change? Those are your dreams. So one of the things I want to mention right at the front, there are conscious choices. You can choose to change on a conscious level, but we keep repeating this pattern because of the fact that, sorry, I'm going to jump through these really quick, because we have these patterns from our childhood. From 0 to 2, our brain waves are in delta. From 2 to 6, it's at theta. 6 to 12, you're in the alpha brainwave pattern. And then as an adult at 12 plus, you're in beta. What happens is that our subconscious, 97% of our response to the external world comes from our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind is fully developed by the time we're 6. So you look like this. Think about that. Your response to everything in the world today was formed by the time you were this size. Which means you have to do your subconscious work along with your conscious work. And I think one of the best tools out there Bruce Lipton has a really great, okay, I'll skip that. But Bruce Lipton, his website has all these energy psychology modalities out there. The one that I have found to work the best with money is holographic repatterning. And it's one of the most powerful things that I've ever seen, and that is definitely letting my freak flag fly in the finance world. I almost died when Reuters wanted to actually interview my holographic repatterning person. He's like, where does she live? I'm like, Sedona. And she has red and purple hair. And I was the conservative Midwestern person. I was like, but don't tell him I told you, right? But what's amazing is that it works like a charm. They have realized there's a holographic layer in our universe now, and that something that would have taken 10 years from a psychotherapy perspective can now take 30 seconds to clear up if you find one of these people that works in this area. So with that, clean up your past while you live in the present moment and plan for the future all at the same time, and the world will be yours.